Welcome back, everyone, to Chatooine. I'm Star Wars Only, joined with the Goldman and Darth Daddy Lunga. Once again, Palpamemes is out due to what happened last week? Why was he gone? What did we say?
I don't remember.
I think he had a
Something with the gym,
weightlifting
maybe.
accident. Yeah, it was a
He was being
weightlifting
a-
accident.
He was being a fuckboy as usual.
Oh well, he is the youngest of us all, so it's kind of usual for someone in their early 20s.
Yeah,
but
Like the three of us, as in not Lunga, are that much in age difference.
Yeah.
probably like a year or two older than Palpamemes, and then Goldman's a year older than me, so it all works out. But
Yeah.
we are back, and we're here to talk about the Ahsoka Tano series, and we got a cool little logo intro someone made for us last week that I completely forgot about until just now. Trademarked by Chatooine. Lucasfilm.
Was there music?
Please don't sue us. I
Or
think
just-
so.
just-
There was
yeah.
a little
It was,
I didn't-
just a little faint,
little sound to it.
Oh, I didn't
little
hear it.
tease to like the sensation in your senses. But yeah, so Ahsoka episode 3 came out. What was it, last night at like, I don't know what time they're even dropping these things anymore.
9
Like,
Eastern.
9 Eastern. That's perfect. Ironically, the same time we do the show. Thanks, Lucasfilm. I come home and I watch it after work, and I have a grandiose time. So very short episode, very, very short episode. And I did something unique with this episode, and I watched it with my roommate who knows nothing of Star Wars. I mean, he knows the movies. He's seen all the movies, and that's really it. So he was...
Did he watch the first 2 episodes of the series?
No, he did not. No, he did not.
You showed him fucking episode 3. Jeez.
Yeah, we were smoking a blunt, and we were watching the Dave Chappelle show, as one does, and I pulled up.
He's gonna show him the movies one day, and he's gonna randomly, hey, let's watch a Star Wars movie. Which one? Okay, Attack of the Clones. Let's start there.
Fuck it. But honestly, though, with Ahsoka, I mean, even with the first 2 episodes, if I had shown him that, I feel like he would have been equally as confused. I mean, he I don't know. I mean, he I'm not gonna say he enjoyed it, but he didn't really like.
He would have known why they're flying in space looking for shit. At least he would have known that.
No shit, he's confused. He's starting the 3rd episode.
It's not even that. It's not even like when you start it. It's just that like he knows none of these characters but Ahsoka. Like he immediately goes, "Is that Rosario Dawson?" And I was like, "Yeah,
Yep.
that's her." And he's like, "Oh wow." He's like, "That's a big deal for like a minority actor to make it to Star Wars." He's like, "Because a big franchise like that is mostly you white people." And he's Guyanese.
All the Disney Plus
Because Lando Calrissian never existed.
And I brought that up, Lunga. I was like, well, what about Billy D. Williams, Lando? He's like, I don't give a fuck about Lando. He's some black guy. He was talking about real minorities, like women. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah. Carrie Fisher. She doesn't count. Yeah.
Ray, the best Jedi Master.
No,
Well, obviously, he does not know about the sequels because
He's missing out.
chock
I
full
think he's seen them. But the funniest thing is, like, I can shit you not, throughout the entire episode, he didn't say one word, except about the minority thing.
Stone, it seems like.
No, well, we smoke all day. I mean, we can talk while we smoke. It's fine. But like, the only time he said something is when Balin showed up at the end, and he goes, "Thank God, a fucking man, Jesus Christ." He's like, I was waiting for a man to show up throughout the whole episode, and it's of course the evil white guy at the end of the episode that makes his appearance and everything.
Dude,
I thought that was
I thought when you said you can't wait for us to hear what your friend had to say, it would be some like intellectual take on this, not just
no.
Oh,
The
a bunch of
most
women.
the most intellectual thing he did say though was he was like he said that this is kind of like an obvious drop in quality from the movies. And he did say that like he thinks a lot of like these Disney shows that they're doing for Star Wars kind of waters down the franchise, which is amazing to me that he said that, because he doesn't know anything about my channel. I mean, he knows that I have this, but he doesn't listen or care, of course, anything like that. He's 30-year-old man completely outside the realm of Star Wars. But he said something like he's like, a lot of these shows like watered down the franchise a little bit, and he said Star Wars like is normally like a special thing that is like very revered. He said, I don't feel like that watching the show. He's like, but I also understand like they have to make money, and they're probably doing this to make money through like the casual audiences and the diehard Star Wars fans.
Don't
like
say
me.
that to Palpamemes. They're losing money according to him.
What are they?
Well,
losing?
we know Disney's going into bankruptcy. They're getting sued from everybody in the world. Star Wars is going to be confiscated from them because they're going to go out of business. Bob Iger's got his jet ready to go to Barbados or wherever to hide from everything. It's all that shit's going on.
And it's still more entertaining than this last episode. No, I'm playing. This last episode wasn't bad. One of the things I did like about it was the spaceship battle. I felt like that felt very much like the original trilogy, like A New Hope, where they did little dog fighting in space. And it was kind of cool to see Hera train with Ahsoka for a little bit. But for the most part, it was very short. Whatever the fuck. They're all the same.
Get the characters' names right, at least.
All the women are the same. Who cares? Great, Star Wars only.
Yeah, that's Star Wars only.
This is going to be clipped.
Canceled. No, but for real, with her training with Sabine, it was kind of cool to see that. What's the robot's name? Hyunga or whatever like that?
Huyang.
David Tennant.
What the fuck?
Same with Skinwalker. She was in there too today, right? I mean, all the usual suspects. Longest favorite character. No, Sabine training with Ahsoka, what was really cool to see. The show started off a little slow this episode, but I do think it picked up once they went into space, was doing the lightsaber battles. I've seen a lot of people reference this episode as kind of like Clone Wars-esque, and I think that has to do with Ahsoka getting out on the ship and taking out the TIE fighters, well, not TIE fighters, where the fuck the spaceships were, with her lightsaber and everything. I don't think we've ever seen anything remotely like that in live action, have we? I mean,
and guess what?
Only been animation.
Guess what? She didn't have to Superman fly to get back to the ship.
She had a suit on.
Sabine,
she had a suit on.
Picked her up. She was just floating her. Hey, can you come get me? I mean, if Superman flying was that easy, she would just flown back to the ship. It would have been no need for.
Yeah, and the Skywalker she wasn't strong.
She wasn't near death, Lunga. That's why she didn't have to do that.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't.
Let's just time this just right. You're getting shot. I'm going to float here and wait for you to catch me. If there was a time to use it, it was then. I'm sorry.
I mean, she didn't look bad doing it either. I mean, like being outside. It's weird because like I do feel like in The Last Jedi that scene looked really cringe, like the way she like floated back. But I can't say that this scene wasn't a little cringe because I don't know what it is about these New Republic outfits, but I hated the blue that she had on. Like for some reason, some of these outfits, I'm just like, like it sticks out. So like it was such a cool scene seeing her stand there and she ignites her lightsabers. I'm like, that's fucking epic. Like it looked beautiful. And then I see like the blue outfit she had on. I'm like, that's tacky, Ahsoka. We can dress better than that, sweetheart. Like I know you got
the A-wings had the blue on it too because the whole New Republic.
Yeah, there's a difference between Rebellion. Rebellion was red, and the New Republic is blue.
Well, whoever the stylist is for these, militaries and all that shit, they need to get fired because, I mean, since JJ did the new, who was it in The Force Awakens? Was it the New Republic or was that like another rebellion?
There was the Resistance.
I'm sorry, the Resistance, the same thing but different.
Which was basically just what remained of the New Republic. That's all it really was. But yeah.
Yeah, even the Resistance outfits were horrible. But I mean, I think you can't beat what the military does with the Empire and all that shit because the Empire always has the flyest designs. The officers look great. The stormtroopers are iconic. I just wish we had the same thing for the New Republic, the Resistance, the Second Republic, whatever comes after Rise of Skywalker. Just someone fix these fucking outfits, like these blues that they have, or like with the Resistance, it was like a beige gray thing. I can't stand it. But the bad guys always look good. Why do the good guys? Why do we have to?
How about instead of republics, they just moved to communism? You just have the Galactic Communist Brotherhood. Instead, that's
at this point, with as liberal as Disney has gotten, I'm sure a lot of right wing people are going to be like, "That's where they're going with this." Yeah, the Disney Marxist.
let's instead of talking about styles of spacesuits for a few minutes, let's start at the beginning, because I know a lot of people had thoughts and still do have thoughts about Sabine most likely being not force sensitive, but using the force. I know, Lunga, you had some thoughts you wanted to share early on.
Yeah. I mean, let's just look at a tweet here real quick. And I understand what they're saying, but it's like, I love the fact that they're making it canon that any living being can connect to the force, and the connection can be discovered by anyone. Oh, this is from George Lucas's own words confirming this. It's so beautiful. So beautiful. Every fucking being has been connected to the Force since the beginning, since the original trilogy. They say it's every living being. The Force moves through us in this. Every living being has the Force in it. This is not something new. It has always been around, okay? And this is the issue I had with the whole... Again, I'm not going to blame it on this episode because this has already been established. This is a plot point for the show at this point, so it doesn't necessarily about this episode. But I'm not happy about Sabine being now I'm going to say a Jedi. If she's Force sensitive, okay, fine. There's lots of people who are Force sensitive. Laura Santeca was Force sensitive, okay? There's lots of people that are Force sensitive. It doesn't mean they become Jedis. It doesn't mean they have enough connection to the Force to do the things that Jedis do. It's not the same thing. So yeah, everyone has the Force. Most people can't connect to it at all. Some people are sensitive to it and may be able to have visions or see a few things, but they can't do all the things that Jedis do. And some people are exceptionally gifted and become Jedi. She seems to be in that middle area where she's Force sensitive, but they're trying to force a Force sensitive to be a Jedi, which doesn't make any sense to me. And that's the big issue. It's like they keep saying Jedi. And Ahsoka's not even a Jedi. She hasn't been a Jedi in 20 fucking years.
Okay, that's the problem with Ahsoka, is that like she technically is a Jedi, even though she says she's not. And it's weird that she's trying to train someone to be a Jedi, but not be. And I think that's what Hu Yang was bringing up as well, was he not? Where he's like, you come from a lineage of non-traditional Jedi. And I think that's what this is kind of following.
It's just like, she's an ex-Jedi, but she's not a Jedi. She left the Jedi Order. She's an ex-Jedi. And and when they were talking about the Jedi, she's like, the orders don't exist anymore. The Jedi are no more, and that's why they failed. She's not a Jedi. She's trained as a Jedi. She's an ex-Jedi, but she's not a Jedi.
So what makes someone a Jedi during this timeline then? Just they have to say, I'm a Jedi? Is that it? Is it just a title? Is that all?
I would have to say that in your heart, that's what you want to be, other than an actual order, for example, that Luke was trying to start.
There is like guidelines because,
you have to follow. Fuck Luke Skywalker.
It's like Ahsoka is a Jedi and everything but name, supposedly. Like, what about her?
Well, it's philosophy too. It's not just name.
Like, what about her philosophy is not proper Jedi? Like, we get the prequel characters were all idiots, but like, what a proper Jedi
the shit that
be.
Star Wars only hates. That what the Jedi Order did, their dogma caused the downfall, and it was problematic, and that's why she left.
Yeah. So your reasons for her not being a Jedi is because she's not like the Jedi from the prequels,
right?
Yeah,
she's not like a Jedi. There are no. Hold on, let's slow down here, because let's be fair. Up until after Order 66, there really haven't been Jedi. Luke was the first one, technically. Okay, then we got the little throw-ins. Kanan, you can't even say that he was a Jedi. He was a Jedi.
He never got the Jedi status.
I guess I just have different definitions. Like when I see the characters in the prequels, like they're Jedi, but they're not acting like Jedi should be because they lost their way. And the characters after that, like Ezra, Kanan, and Ahsoka, I see them as acting as how a Jedi should act. So they're different from the Jedi from the prequels, but they're acting in how I view a Jedi should be. So when she says,
it's not about how you view it. They uphold the Jedi ideals. That's
the proper Jedi ideals. The Jedi from the prequels lost those ideals. Yes, she does.
No, she doesn't.
What ideals?
There's some shared ideals. There's some that are shared, moralistic, sure, but
what has she done that's not Jedi in like Rebels or the show?
She left the Jedi Order. Said I quit.
Okay.
I'm not talking about she also allowed the rise of
ideals
the
and like
Sith.
actions. Like
she allowed Darth Vader and Emperor Palpatine to run the galaxy and kill millions and billions and trillions of people.
She was part of the
Fight?
rebellion. Yeah, she was
She
part of the
refused to
rebellion.
trade.
It didn't
She
work.
refused to trade Grogu because she said that
She didn't help out Luke. I mean, there's so many things that like
She refused to train Grogu because she sensed fear in him, not because she didn't want him to be a Jedi.
No, because she felt she wasn't capable of doing it because Anakin scared her. What happened when Anakin scared her?
That wasn't the lesson I took away from that. I felt if Grogu was
Then
on
you
his
took the
own,
wrong lesson.
roaming the galaxy, then I think she would have trained him. But because of the attachment that Grogu had to Mando, that's why she wouldn't train him.
Oh, because
No,
Sabine
but-
has no attachments. You know, this whole trip that
Force
they're going
feeders.
on for Ezra,
Sabine's
there's
not
no
a child.
attachments there.
Sabine's not a child.
Doesn't matter. Neither was it.
Sabine's definitely too old
What do
to
you-
be trained as well.
Why are they
I
gonna
mean,
be
in
a
sense.
yeah? Why they gotta be a child?
Because kids have stronger attachments to their parents, and Grogu sees Mando as a parent.
First of all, he's 50 fucking years old,
Okay,
and he's known Mando for what? He's known Mando for what? A hot minute?
For 3 seasons now, yeah.
3 seasons, which was 1
Long
year,
time.
buddy. He's 50 years old.
Okay, he's a baby.
He's a baby.
He's a
He
different
is a baby.
species. He can't speak.
All right, then if he gets taken away, he'll forget it. You know, you take a kid away from their parents when they're 4 or 5 years old, they don't remember shit.
Look,
When they're adults.
it's about Ahsoka like being Jedi or Jedi-like in a sense, and I'm with Lungas. There's a lot of questionable things that she's done over the
Like
course.
what?
I still stand by the fact that her not helping Luke defeat Vader or the Emperor is a massive like giving up of the fight against evil, fighting for good, or anything like
Trapped on
that.
Malachor.
Here. Okay,
For what?
you want
How long?
specific examples, but we're
Like
talking about
behavioral
themes here.
traits. Yeah.
You want themes here. Okay, it's about themes. It's not about specific events. Okay, it's about themes.
Okay.
We know that Star Wars is heavily influenced by samurai, right? It's heavily influenced
Yes.
by Eastern culture and the samurai culture. What she is a Ronin. Okay, she is a samurai without a lord, and the lord was the Jedi Order. Okay, she still does good, but she's not a samurai. She's a Ronin. She's rogue.
Okay, but
That's what she is.
That's
She's
just a
not
title.
a Jedi. It's not just a title, it's a mentality. She does not follow anyone. She does what she wants to do. The Jedi Order always has a council, always has a group or a thought of a group that guides what everyone should be doing. You can't just make independent
then
choices.
what was Luke doing in Return of the Jedi then? Was he not a Jedi then?
Luke
He
was
made
the only
decisions.
one.
He was not
They're
a
all
Jedi.
dead
in
as
Return of the
far-
Jedi.
Well, at the end, I'm a Jedi.
I am a
like my father
Jedi
before
like
me.
my father before me.
Oh,
He
yes,
made
at
his
the
own
end. I'm
decisions.
sorry, the
He
last-
just obeyed
the-
what
the
Luke
last
or he
30
disobeyed what
minutes. Very
Obi-Wan and
last-
Yoda told him.
The very last
Officially,
30,
that's when he became a Jedi.
I think it's called an arc, Goldman, and that's when he became a Jedi
Okay,
at the
so then-
end when he throws down the lightsaber, refuses violence.
The point I'm trying to make is that Luke was not part of any structure. In fact, he did not listen to what Obi-Wan and Yoda told him to do, which was kill Vader. Obi-Wan's like, you must kill Vader. Luke did not listen to them, and that triumphant moment is what made him a Jedi. So why does it matter if he has like a structure? You're muted, Lunga.
Yeah, Lunga, this sounds great, but we can't hear you.
There we go. I know I hit the button, but it didn't unmute. But we got to look at it though that not afterwards, okay? But as far as Luke, everything he learned about the Jedi Order was from Obi-Wan, okay? As far as we
And
go, the
Yoda.
original trilogy movies, we can't talk about EU, yeah, and Yoda. But Yoda, if you think about it, he talked about what it meant to be a Jedi, but he didn't really talk about the Order that much. Obi-Wan talked about the Jedi and how they were and all the stuff they did. You know, he kind of gave him those kind of feelings. But so in a way, and you could see it, Luke idolized and glorified what was because of what Obi-Wan told him about the Jedi Order. Okay, so he was trying to rebuild what was without realizing the flaws they had, because Obi-Wan didn't tell him about the flaws. He told him about his own, that I failed your father, not that the Order failed. Okay, so he didn't tell him this. So Luke idolizes this thought, this idea, glamorized idea of what the Jedi Order was, and that's what he's trying to return, and that's what he's trying to be, and that's what he's trying to create. Well, until Disney took over, but that's what he was trying to create. So there's a difference there, right? Everything he learned from that, Ahsoka lived it. It's a big difference.
Yeah, I get that, but again, you're just making like broad generalizations. Like Luke wanted to restart the Jedi Order. Ahsoka disagreed with what the Jedi Order was. I get that, but like, what does she do different? Like, How is Ahsoka different
Philosophy.
from
I
Luke?
told you,
What are
philosophy.
these examples? Like beliefs. Give me an example.
She
of
does
philosophy.
not follow the Jedi order. She does
What
not
does she-
have
doesn't
she does
follow
not have
the
masters.
code.
She does
A
not have.
behavior. Okay, she says she doesn't
Well-
follow it, but in what way? What does she do that differs from what the Jedi Order
Ask
does?
her because she's the one who said it. I don't know what to tell you.
That's the point I'm trying to make. She's a
Just
Jedi
because they haven't showed us.
Okay,
Listen,
but
just because they haven't
she's not a
showed
Jedi.
us, she told us. She told us.
Show don't tell.
You're
Yes.
saying, oh, just because she said that, I still think she is. She said she's not.
Yeah,
I think it's strange that she's like, I'm not a Jedi. I don't think she's even said that once.
Well, this is your head because this is your head canon. The fact that if you gotta go by, you gotta take it at face value. She said, "I'm not a Jedi." She's not a Jedi. I don't believe in what the Jedi Order stands for anymore.
That characters do on screen, and I have not seen anything that she has
A
done.
Ronin.
That is not
I already
Jedi.
made this analogy.
Okay,
A Ronin
again,
still
she's just
acted
not in the
like
order.
a samurai.
In action, what is she? Okay, she's a samurai. She's a Ronin, but like, what does that mean?
Because believe it or not, you
how
could
would she
still
act
be a good
differently?
person and not have the title Jedi anymore,
Correct.
right? You know that's possible.
Yes.
So just because she's being a good thing, being a good person, doing good deeds, doesn't mean she's still a Jedi because she's still doing Jedi stuff. That's not how it works.
She's a Jedi in everything but name.
But it's not
Everything-
name. She's actively saying she is not a Jedi.
That's like she's just like making baseless claims without actually supporting it in any way.
She's not. It's not a baseless claim though. If she's saying no, I'm not a Jedi, that means that there's something about the Jedi Order, the Jedi philosophy, that she fundamentally disagrees with.
And I
where
want
she
to see
will
that on
practice
screen.
it, but
I
not
want to
do
see that
it.
on screen.
They put her on trial
Rebels.
for trying to save people.
Yeah,
Okay.
that was fucked up.
And that's why she left, because they put
Mhm.
the tenets of the order above people.
Correct.
Okay. That's the fundamental disagreement she has with the Jedi Order. It's dogma.
Okay, fine.
That's why she is not a Jedi.
I feel like we're going around in circles. She had a strong disagreement with the Jedi Order that we all agreed was flawed in the first place. The way she acts now is everything that a proper Jedi should act, not the Jedi from the prequels. So if that's not a Jedi, then okay, fine.
No. You see, you're confusing being a good person with being a Jedi. It's not the same thing. You can simultaneously be a good person and be a Jedi or not be a Jedi, because it's what makes a Jedi. A Jedi isn't being a good person. It's all the other shit that comes along with it.
It's
The other shit,
following the order,
baggage
it's saving
she left
people.
behind.
Ahsoka has kind of become more selfish since leaving the Order because she naturally does whatever she wants. It's not like she's taking directions from people who are saying, "No,
Right.
we need someone saved."
She
over
she
here."
goes from world in the novels. She goes from world to world, helping people. I mean, she does these things where the Jedi. Oh, here we go. The Jedi is one of his biggest tenets is non-interference. Right? They don't interfere. They don't interfere in world politics or anything like that. Ahsoka does.
Mm-hmm.
She does. And she'll interfere for specific people, to save specific people, to help specific people. Where the Jedi had a strict code of non-interference. And that is another major thing. And you said when? Read the Ahsoka novel. That's where it happens.
It's not canon anymore, though. Longa Dave Filoni didn't like it.
That is true.
Fucking
Filoni did not
asshole.
like it. All right,
Oh
we
my
can let's move on to something else. We're going.
What did y'all think of Jason Sandula and his beautiful green hair?
It was cute. It was a cute scene. I liked the apprehension that was kind of there, that Hera might not want to train, or not Hera. Hera would not want Jason to become
we
a
don't
Jedi.
know if we don't even know if he's force sensitive though. We don't even
Well,
know. I mean,
Lunga,
if they name him
clearly
Jason, spelled Jecen,
But
I'm pretty
Lunga,
sure that
you've
he's probably
clearly
going to be.
never seen
Yeah,
the sequels. The sequels establish that you get your force powers based off of bloodline. That is Kanan.
Oh, the
That's
sequels
what
that
the
did not have
originals-
Grogu, Jason Sandula, didn't have any of these people in it. Yeah. I get. Oh, I want to clarify one thing here, just real quick. Orion Magnus says, "Being a good person does not mean being a good Jedi." What? That's not what I said, sir. I said being a good person does not mean you're a Jedi. There's a difference. Meaning you can be a good person and not be a Jedi. And while yes, being a good person is something that a Jedi does, it doesn't mean just because you're a good person you're a Jedi. That's what I said. So just listening is a skill.
anyway.
But you can say Ahsoka is a good person, though. I mean, there's no doubt about that. It's just
Yeah.
she clearly saying that she's not a Jedi anymore, and I think that's something the show should kind of establish too. And I think we'll see a little bit more of it when she confronts Balin, because doesn't he say something in the trailer about like her being Anakin's apprentice, and she's like, "I'm not here to talk about my past." I think that's kind of her reflecting on the Jedi Order as a whole.
He said Anakin spoke highly of you, and she's like, "I'm not here to discuss my past." I think that's the extent
Yeah.
of the dialogue we've seen in the trailers.
And I'm sure that's cut up in a way where that's not even remotely how the conversation goes, but it's something to keep us engaged in the trailer. But still, I mean, I think the idea of Ahsoka being a Jedi or not being a Jedi is interesting, but I think, there's not much they're even going to do with it. We've known that Lucasfilm is not going to do a gray Jedi thing, even though Ahsoka is as close to that as I think we could get at the moment. And I think this is going to be one of those situations where, as the show goes on, she just establishes herself as someone who fights for the light and goes against the dark, but is not part of the Jedi doctrine.
Goldman just can't live with this. He has an issue with it. He has an issue.
He wants her to be a Jedi.
Do we want to
Yes.
circle back to this? We can go back. We don't need to talk about Jason and whatever.
Yeah, because he looks cringe.
Since we brought up Hera, I'll bring up this. I thought Mary Elizabeth Winstead, I wasn't happy with her in the first 2 episodes as Hera. I love her as an actress. I mean, Scott Pilgrim, she's fucking beautiful, and great actress. But I didn't like her as Hera. But it seems that she figured out the role better in this 3rd episode. So she was more convincing to me as Hera in this episode.
I love that scene.
Yeah.
More so for the world building implications as opposed to the performances. Because that's as someone who likes the sequels, the biggest issue I have with them is the lack of explanation around the context of what that war was. And this is starting to give hints as to that. How the New Republic doesn't do shit. They just sit on their asses because they don't want to start another conflict. And then another power comes in and causes issues. So I liked that sort of piece of world building. And did you guys catch the reference about that one senator? Do you see it on Twitter at all?
No, I haven't.
No.
The one that was like being a douche.
Yeah.
To her.
That is the dad of the main character of Star Wars Resistance, the animated show no one watched.
Yeah.
Oh, it wouldn't have mattered if I saw it on Twitter because fuck Resistance. I mean, seriously.
I
want to talk about a PBS Star Wars show? It's Paw Patrol's in space.
I'm just bringing up
Well, Lunga, you don't understand the symbolism. It's actually a good show. The Ahsoka series is actually a good show now because it makes a reference to another show that no one else watched.
And again, I'm not saying you don't make that stuff. Preschool kids they want to get introduced to Star Wars and they love it. That's cool. I'm not saying, but no adult is watching fucking Resistance.
I mean, you've never seen Star Wars fans, okay?
No real adult is watching Resistance. How about that? Okay.
I'm not trying to argue about Resistance. I'm just saying there was a connection there.
Yeah, I know. I saw the shit-eating grin on your face when you said
I don't like that show.
Oh my god, what a fucking show.
But I don't know if, because I did check the subtitles, and I know you brought this up, Lunga, but Jason's name is spelled Jacen, the same way as Jason Solo. So I wonder. I just feel like that
it was an homage. Originally, I believe it was an homage. In Rebels, when they named him that, it was Filoni doing a shout out. That's what it felt like.
I think it's more than that. I don't think Filoni would just connect a young potential Jedi to the name of a character who turned to the dark side in the expanded universe. I think that's a hint as
well. Where is he during this horrific time period known as the sequel trilogy?
We'll have to wait and find out. We didn't know where Ahsoka was.
So. He's in his prime. He'd be like what, late 20s, early 30s?
He'd be in his prime. There could be a bunch of people elsewhere.
Lunga, you know he was at the Battle of Exegol, right? He made the impossible navigation through the cloud of Ra.
The ghost was there. The ghost was at Exegol.
Oh, the ship. I was like, what fucking ghost are you talking about?
The ghost
ship. The ship. Okay, yeah, sorry. Yeah, he's probably piloting that. I mean, Hera's probably dead by that point. Maybe too old. I don't know.
Does anyone notice that Merrick character, which he had an Inquisitor lightsaber, he's gonna end up probably being one of the brothers that have been unnamed so far because there's still a bunch of them that are unnamed. I really think. But we got this with Barrick and Shin. They got these aliens that we're not getting any kind of subtitles for, or we get subtitles, but we don't know, just as alien language. We don't know what they are, and they're masked and stuff too. and a lot of masks seem to be different, and this Merrick mask seems to be weird. I wonder if this is kind of a progenitor or something that eventually becomes the Knights of Ren, perhaps, or something that goes along those lines.
That would
I'm
be an
seeing a lot
interesting
of
route,
masks.
but I think that by this point, no, actually not by
We
this
can
point.
we can
'Cause
talk about your
Knight-
precious books and comics about what the Knights of Ren
yeah,
were up to during this
yeah, I
time.
was about to say Knights of Ren. I think were already established by this point in
Yes.
time. They had a leader
Were they
called
talking
Ren.
about this time? I thought the earliest ones was like about 10, 15 years before the sequel trilogy. I
No.
didn't
So
know
there
that
there's
this
a
far ahead.
comic run that takes place between Empire and Jedi, like that involves Kira and Crimson
Oh,
Dawn
okay.
and whatnot, and the Knights of Ren are there. And there's a dude
Gotcha.
named Ren, and then they eventually show up later. So I don't believe if Filoni follows the lore, which gigantic asterisk, no, that shouldn't be the
Yeah.
Knights of Ren.
But I am
Not by
interested
anyone.
to find out who these aliens are, which is going to I know it's going to disappoint me because they're just an alien. They're not going to be anything.
Yeah,
special.
I think they're probably just mercenaries that Balin
yeah.
uses. But it is curious what Merrick's connection to Balin and Shin is. Like why is
Right.
he? If he's an Inquisitor, what's his game in this?
Well, I could be wrong, but I remember they showed like brief there's like character descriptions of everyone that Lucasfilm put out prior to the show, like really, really vague ones, and it said that Merrick or whatever his name was an Inquisitor, obviously, but since the Empire fell, he's now kind of just not a bounty hunter, but he just does work for money, so bounty hunter basically. So I don't know
but
if
he's
he
walking
really
around with
has-
Jedi. His entire life as Inquisitor was hunting down Jedi, and now he's now he's working with former Jedi who became Dark Jedi. They're not Sith. I mean, I'm wondering if originally he was chasing them down when all this shit went down, and then
maybe
you know.
There's a lot of interesting questions about Balin and Shin's past. Like, okay, yeah, Balin was a Jedi who survived Order 66, and at some point he found an apprentice and started training her. It's like, how do you do that? And then we also don't know the specifics of what their philosophy are. Like, they're not a Sith, they're not Jedi. They're clearly more dark. I mean, they wield red-ish, orange-ish lightsabers. So I'm curious.
Well, we still haven't seen them use any dark side powers. We have not seen them use any dark side powers.
Yeah,
and I wonder if they will, because I mean, that's dark side powers is such a weird, touchy subject now with Star Wars. Like when it first happened with the original trilogy, Palpatine using like lightning was like, oh my god, like they use different abilities than the Jedi use, and ever since then they pretty much only use lightning. And so if like they use lightning, it'd be like, okay, clearly they are dark side people. But if they don't, then maybe there's something else they can do to, hint that they are. Because like with the lightning, force lightning is supposed to be very powerful. I wonder if either of them are even powerful enough to use something like that.
Probably not.
I don't see it.
I don't know if we'll see any Sith specific powers. Like we might see a force choke. Like that's the strongest extent. The way I just see them is that they're ordinary force users who are more dark than not. Doesn't mean they're the most powerful Sith who can do all the shit that Palpatine did, but yeah.
Not sure that they'll go this route, but when we had Mace Windu and his Vapad, which was bordering on dark side powers, which again, this is pre-Disney. That's all EU now. Shatterpoint was EU, I think.
Yes. Not in the canon.
Yeah. But there's an interesting route they could take. It could be something along those lines. They just tip over a little more onto that side rather than did it. But
yeah, but I don't think Merrick has any real motivations here other than that he's been hired. And yeah, I get it. He's a he was an Inquisitor who's now working with Jedi. I think he's just an opportunist now after the Empire fell. And he's like, okay, these Jedi or these people that are like Jedi but aren't want me to work with them.
He's following them. He's taking orders very like military style. Like he follows their orders.
Yeah, Shin told him something, and he was like, "As you wish." So she's clearly above him. It's the only thing that I think truly interests me of the show so far is the villains, like Balin, Shin, and Merrick, and even Morgan Elsbeth. Like, I do want to see. Not Morgan, because I do know her overall goal is just to reach Thrawn. But I do want to see Balin, Shin, and Merrick's overall goal with the galaxy and what they want from this overall situation. Like, if given the option, would Balin want Ahsoka to join them, or would he want to kill her? Because he did say it would be a shame to kill a Jedi, but as we discussed before, she's not a Jedi. So I wonder if she says, if he's like, I don't want to kill you, you're a Jedi, and she's like, well, I'm actually not a Jedi anymore. He's like, oh, good shit. And then just like force chokes her. that'd be interesting, like seeing what he wants from this entire ordeal, what the power is that he's talking about, if he cares at all about the Sith. Like just to hear his thoughts on the Sith alone would be very interesting. So there's intrigue around that, and I do think we're going to get some episodes or some answers in the next coming episodes, because the next one's supposed to be where they have the big confrontation, and then apparently episode 5 is where the fan service shit comes in, and we see Anakin on Mustafar, and then eventually we're going to see Anakin's ghost or something like that, smile and wave at the camera, and it'll be happily ever after for Dave Filoni.
I am enjoying Baylan for the sheer reason of, while he is an antagonist, he doesn't seem to be this mustache twirling bad guy. Like he's out, he seems very insightful. You know what I mean? It doesn't seem like his goal, even though he talked about power, it's he has this weird, I don't want to say caring side of him, but it doesn't seem like his goal is just destruction. You know what I mean? And not like Sith, which is like pure power lust, right? He wants power, but it doesn't seem to be like this lust like the Sith have, so he's a very intriguing character.
And he doesn't seem cruel like most Sith are. Like most Sith are very cruel to their apprentice. He seems pretty chill with Shin.
We haven't really gotten a great insight into their relationship specifically. Like every scene the two have had together, they just stand there and he's like, go there, you do this, you could do that. I'd like to see them actually converse about something a little bit more personal to them, as opposed to just giving each other words.
I don't think the other thing, truth be told.
I mean, this is why we're saying they're supposed to be like Dark Jedi, because there seems to be a fusion of stuff going on here, right? Because he was a Jedi, and I feel that he trained Shin like a Jedi Padawan. They just have motivations and powers that are more dark side-ish. But like, with the Sith, we obviously know that the apprentice usually 9 times out of 10 hates their master, and the whole goal is to eventually usurp their master. She seems to like a Padawan does their master's a Jedi Order. She seems to idolize him and really look up to him, rather than envy his power like a dark side apprentice would.
I think their story is supposed to mirror Ahsoka and Sabine's. I mean, the whole master apprentice thing is a big part of the show. Like that was huge in the marketing, and that's the name of the first episode. So I wonder if they're going to contrast Ahsoka's issues with the Jedi Order to Baylan's issues with the Jedi Order, and maybe his opinions led him a bit more down a darker path than where Ahsoka is now, and that's going to somehow play into an arc she'll go down.
100. It's going to be during their lightsaber battle. They're going to be talking.
I can't wait for that conversation.
Oh, I mean, that's bold to claim, though, Lunga. Them talking during lightsaber battles is internalization of character. We're not really known for that in Star Wars anymore.
Hey, the great Christopher Lee did it, okay? Dooku did it.
Yeah, that was so powerful. Your swords, please.
What do you mean? They spoke it. The characters all
this time we'll take them together.
Double the fall. You learned much this last time.
Yeah, and last time, like 3 weeks ago in the Clone Wars. You got to watch that on Disney XD or Disney Plus to see. But I don't know. I think the lightsaber battles that are coming up are going to be very big, very impactful. I think, of course, the natural way it's going to go is Baylan and Ahsoka are going to go at it, and then Sabine and Shin are going to go at it. It's going to be odd seeing Sabine go against her again, because if Sabine wins, it's going to be like, damn, like that training either really paid off or that Shin girl really, really sucks. But I don't know how it's going to end for either Shin or Baylan. Like, both of them, in my opinion, have to die. I mean, that's just kind of how the story is supposed to go. But I think
Baylan's going to die, and Shin's going to continue as an antagonist. There's going to be a revenge factor with her. That's what I think is probably going to happen.
I would like it if Sabine killed Shin out of like anger or something like that, and Ahsoka's like, nah, that's too much. I can't train you now. And then that creates like another conflict.
Well, either way, Baylan's not coming back because Ray Stevenson died. So
they got to kill him.
It's very rare to see a master Padawan relationship where the Padawan dies and then the master continues on. We don't see that often in Star Wars. It's always that's how it's supposed to be. The Padawan's supposed to live, but we haven't really seen the alternative.
You see it in novels a lot. I know you're not, but you see it in novels. It happens quite often in novels.
Yeah, there's a guy named Bel Zettifar, whatever the fuck, from High Republic. He's a Strong young black man, Goldman. All right, he's a good.
Well,
good
he
young kid.
Well, he survived. His master, died and then came back and then died.
Yeah. What was his name again? Didn't I love his master.
He's a Twi'lek. Oh my god.
Someone put in the chat.
Oh my god, I loved him too. He's one of my favorite characters.
I know it's not Lobo, is it? Not playing. God damn it! What the fuck is his name? Lukewarm? Something Storm?
Lukewarm? What the fuck?
I don't know. The fact that no one has it makes me salty. Loden. It's fucking Loden.
Loden. Loden Greatstorm. There you go. Yeah. Thank you.
Loden Greatstorm.
Loden Greatstorm.
Yes. Shout out to fucking homeboy.
Yes.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Loden Greatstorm. What a guy. Yeah.
Again, spoilers if you haven't read the books. They've been out for a while now. Sorry. It's your fault if you haven't read them at this point.
3 to 5 years.
Yeah. But Loden, I really loved him. And then when they made him seem dead, I'm like, no. And then he's been captured.
They really killed him.
Oh my god, the torture they did to him, it was ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, but, I mean, that's one of those things with that book too that was so interesting is like the way that one ended, where it was like this new element that like can kill Jedi and force sensitive people. Stuff like that's very interesting, and it's so cool to try to see that explored a little bit more in live action, and stuff like that normally gets avoided. But I do feel like we're seeing a change with that with the Ahsoka series, with the World Between Worlds. I don't really credit that to Lucasfilm trying bold and new things. I think it's more of Dave Filoni being an egotistical, selfish asshole sometimes and just wanting to put his characters in all the biggest situations that could ever happen, But it does.
I mean, did you saw the interview, right? Where he said Ahsoka was just supposed to be a Padawan. She was supposed to be someone else's apprentice. And George's like, we'll make her Anakin's apprentice.
Yeah, that was a big thing.
Apprentice. He does now.
Filoni wanted, when Filoni was first approached for the Clone Wars, he wanted it to be more like Rebels, where it was about a new group of people who did shit throughout the course of the war. And then Lucas, as Lunka said, was like, no, we want to be about Anakin, Obi-Wan. And then he brought in Ahsoka to add the newer element to it.
And look who was right in the end. It was George, because Rebels was vastly uninteresting to the mass audiences, and Clone Wars was the shit.
But that means the fact that Anakin had a Padawan named Ahsoka was because of George, not Dave.
Yeah, and that's another thing people give Dave so much. They're like, oh, he created Ahsoka and he ran the Clone Wars show. I'm like, not really. I mean,
you're like the biggest Filoni hater I know now. You're approaching that territory.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's getting on my nerves at a certain point. I'm like, Dave, either
because he does creative things.
Creative. I mean, he just keeps the same characters around forever.
No, you are so bitter over it. Still, it always goes back to Ahsoka. You are bitter. You hate it so much. You hate it so much that you just like
she's alive.
It taints anything Filoni does. You're just like, fuck this guy. Fuck this guy.
It's because it's the same fucking pattern. Like, god damn it, Dave. Like, he has such good visuals, but like the writing is fucking like either dry or boring beyond relief. And it's always like in connection to something. Well, of course you don't disagree.
It's like,
if we're settling for shitty content, Dave is the peak guy.
The first season of Rebels was all new characters, and like the only connections we got got Lando for an episode, then we got Ahsoka at the very end. It's like, okay, if Filoni establishes these new characters, and then he develops them and connects them to other characters. I don't see.
Yeah, and because Ezra scratches his head in live action and in the Rebels thing, everyone on Twitter is like, "Oh my god,
you're spending too much time on Twitter,
dude." I'm just showing you what you people. These are your people, mind you.
These are not my people. No,
they are your people. They are
Rebel
fans. Yeah, we mean you people.
It's like you see any connection between projects as a bad thing. Doesn't matter what it is. It could be something stupid like a head scratch or whatever, or it can.
Well, he calls them all. Every single connection is a member berry to Star Wars.
Exactly.
Member berry.
No, there's a difference between a slight connection, like, oh, this senator is the father of this guy from Resistance, and then characters doing exactly what they've done in one show, in another with the scratching of the head.
Like, what do you want them to do? You don't want them to act how the
anything new and different would be nice.
It's like,
anything
it's like,
new.
okay, a character does a minor thing.
Well,
like
did you have a problem with literally Ahsoka and Sabine training her was literally Obi-Wan and Luke on the Millennium Falcon? It was literally the exact same thing. It just wasn't.
No, I mean, they use they use Hugh Yang. I mean, that was kind of cool to seeing the
Yeah, but
difference
it
in
was
that
the
and the
whole
difference in
face
the structure.
shield, the whole I can't, but I
Yeah,
can't see it. It's
but
like it was like almost word for
yes,
word out of
yes,
Star
that stuff.
Wars.
Yes, and that stuff that does annoy me because I've seen it once. I don't need to see it constantly
Star
over
Wars
and over
only.
again.
If you did not go on Twitter for the rest of the month, I think you would vastly, you enjoy the show much more. It's
No,
like you
that's not
see,
true at all because Twitter loves the show. I'm the one who
no, it's
doesn't
because
really like
it's
it.
because Twitter loves the show. It makes you angry, and then you start to hate the show.
No, it doesn't make me angry. It just I look at what people are enjoying and I'm like, oh, that's
And
fucking
I
Here's
don't
the
want to
thing.
enjoy this.
Just think about how humans are in general, okay? Especially with the advent of social media and stuff. There are many things, many mannerisms, many phrases, many certain specific words that once they become popularized, everybody uses them. And if you expand that on a galactic scale, it's a similar thing. Or just within, if it's Jedi, something that's within an order. There was mannerisms that people picked up from each other that people reuse, and it became like a Jedi thing. So there's things that it's human nature that we mimic, and that things become viral and phrase, turns of phrases and mannerisms become something that a lot of people use. So I mean,
I want to
it's
see
not
these
that out of
specific.
question.
I want to see these specific examples that Star Wars only brings up because, like, I've seen similar tweets where it's like there's one image of Ahsoka like smiling, looking over her shoulder.
yeah,
and
yeah.
Rosario
That
does
one,
the
I
same
saw
thing,
that.
and it's like, okay, how else are you supposed to smile looking over your shoulder?
Yeah.
Anyone could like pick two things and make a connection, and then you get angry at this.
Well, first of all, the whole smiling over your shoulder is a highly used thing in like any kind of movie that happens.
Exactly.
It's
like Star Wars only sees
a very
Ahsoka
common
doing
shot.
Clone Wars and in this show, and he's like, "Oh, member berries, Filoni's so annoying." It's like, dude.
Well, first of all, Filoni is annoying, but second of all, it's not because of member berries. I just don't think he's as great of a writer as everyone makes him out to be. And yes, I am tired of him, like almost what would I call it? Stealing the show with his characters, where he's like, what would be interesting if Ahsoka did it all. If Ahsoka was the one who really saved.
Let's get back to this episode.
Yeah.
It was a 30-minute episode. What else is there to talk about?
I know. Well, no, I'll tell you what there was to talk about. I thought, because one of my concerns was, how are they going to plausibly show me that they can suddenly jump to other galaxies when they've always been in their own galaxy, and make it believable, right? And the fact that they literally took a prequel era hyperspace ring, made it huge, Death Star size, almost, okay? But it's a ring this time.
Mm-hmm.
And well, yeah. But and they're putting 4 hyperspace engines on it. And I'm like, okay, that could tell me maybe how it can get out there, but how does it know where to go? And then they said, oh, well, there's been scholars that have been studying it's like the migratory whales in the ocean, right? We followed the whales in the ocean to find their migratory patterns. So they followed hyperspace trail of the Purgles. And this is what gave them their lanes. And so now they're using this. Yeah. But this is like some old ancient research with the Purgles that wasn't widely known in the galaxy at this point in time. So
it was pretty cool to see the Purgles in live action too.
They looked huge. If you watch them in Rebels, they were not that big.
Yeah, they were.
No, they weren't.
I thought they were pretty big.
In the second season, Ezra was like standing
in Rebels, they were next to capital ships. Okay,
I'm thinking more so of the the one time they showed up in the second season. Like Ezra was able to one of the Purgles able to hand Ezra's helmet.
Entire Purgle was engulfing the front of Thrawn's Star Destroyer. What are you talking about?
They just seem to be much bigger here. Like they seem to be the size of a Star Destroyer here, as opposed to just being able to.
Nah, they weren't that big. They didn't look that big to me because their ships would have been dwarfed. Have you ever seen TIE fighters coming out of a Star Destroyer? No, they weren't that small compared to the Purgle.
Maybe I would need to double check.
But it is cool that we have Purgles that use like the hyperspace lanes and shit, and that we're kind of making that connection and getting the history. No, I don't.
The other way
small
around.
Things like that.
The Purgles have their migratory paths, and they created hyperspace lanes following their hyperspace paths.
Yes, paths. And it's cool that that's what they kind of based hyperspace off of, and that's what we get. I mean, the High Republic took the hyperspace lane stuff to a completely different direction, and same with who was it? The Chiss with the Skywalkers and the unknown regions. How you need someone with the Force to guide you to not hit shit. It changed a lot, but it's kind of cool to see that still expanded.
But it's still the same thing if you think about it, because that's how the Purgles do it. There is some kind of Force essence with them. That's how Ezra had a connection with them. You know what I mean? So there is a force connection with the Purgles. They tap into the force. That's most likely how they
The force resides within every living being.
Yeah.
Lunga.
Yeah. Again, that line doesn't bother me because why are people forgetting that we heard that from Yoda in the original trilogy? Why are people forgetting that we heard that from fucking
Lunga? Because no
Qui-Gon
one
in the
watches that
prequels?
stuff anymore. So when we say it again, we're all like dumbfounded because like, oh, that's
It's
such a
not
great
new,
line of dialogue.
but they're hyping up Kanan. Oh, Kanan said it in Rebels. You see, it's in everyone. Bitch, it's been in everyone since the fucking beginning. Kanan and Filoni did not invent that. Okay, it's always been there. The difference is not everybody with the Force sensitivity becomes a fucking Jedi Knight.
It's because
Okay,
only Rebels
there's a
fans are
difference.
watching this show.
Everybody, listen. Anyone can pick up a sword. Anyone can learn to swing it well. They don't all become samurais. Okay, it's not the same thing. Oh my god, it drives me nuts.
I am totally with you.
But if you had to rate the episode though, like on a scale of 1 to 10, good to bad, whatever, like, do you guys feel like this was a good episode? Because it wasn't. I don't know if it was better than like the first or second one. It felt like on par, but it definitely makes you go, okay, I got to see what happens next with episode 4, because now they're on this planet that we know has that temple, that ancient temple. We know Balon and Shin and Merrick and Morgan and Elsbeth all know that they're there. So it seems like the show is now going to start taking some upward trajectory. And I think after this next episode, we really don't know what's going to happen. Everything in the trailers have pretty much been shown up to this point. So we're going to go in blind for a little bit. So how are you guys feeling about the show so far and going forward?
I'm happy with the show so far. Again, I still have the issue with Sabine, but it's not going away. So it's a central plot point for the entire series. So bitching about that at this point is like it's a moot point. But the show itself is good so far. I thought this episode was solid. I enjoyed it. I just don't understand the Twitter reaction. People are like, "Oh my god, this episode was fucking great!" And I'm like, "It was a good episode. It was solid. I don't know what's so great about it. They flew the ship dogfighting most of the time. It's like,
people on Twitter are the only people who are watching Star Wars at this point.
See, you guys spend too much time on Twitter.
No. I'm
a hypocrite because I do too.
Don't you
it's
have? Not that I spend too much time on Twitter. Bowman. Hold on. Stop the fucking presses.
Okay.
We do a fucking show talking about fucking Star Wars, gauging fans' fucking reactions, showing fucking Twitter posts of what people are saying.
You guys are showing Twitter posts.
It tells me the pulse of what people are saying out there.
I think
so. It's not that I'm like, what's going on Twitter today? What's going on Twitter today? No, it's not that. If I'm going to talk about this stuff, I need to see where my opinions are compared to other people's.
Yeah, I mean, I don't follow like a bunch of minor Twitter accounts on Twitter for Star Wars. Like I follow Star Wars stuff, Star Wars Direct, like the pages that give out like Star Wars info. And in the case with the Ahsoka show, I'm like, oh, okay, like they put up a clip of it. I want to see what people in the comments are saying to, like Lunga said, gauge where I'm reacting to it, where others are reacting to it.
And I just do a hashtag search. I just search, hashtag Ahsoka or whatever, and see what people are saying, just so I can, like, am I the weird one, or is everyone else the weird one, or what's going on?
I just think people on Twitter. I think there's a special group of people on Twitter that we tend to see the most. The ones that are always like, "Oh, this is so great," or the ones like, "Oh, this is so awful." The extremes. It's the common.
Well, again, I don't really follow many of them, just like Star Wars only. So I do a hashtag search. So I see a gambit. I don't see just the specific side.
That's a better way to approach Twitter. I'll say that.
Well, I will say this was the perfect segue into our new Star Wars Twitter segment. And here's the fucking intro, you bastards. Wasn't that fucking cute?
I never got to give my thoughts on episode 3. My rating.
Oh, fucking give it.
I don't know. An 8, maybe. I really liked it. I thought there's nothing specifically in it that was so great or whatever. I just really enjoyed it. And I was concerned about the short runtime, but I thought it was well done. There was nothing that dragged. I overall really liked it. I had no complaints. All right, we can go to Twitter now.
I'm at a 6 or a 7. Not bad, not good, not just. It was a solid episode. We'll see what happens next week. Lunga, you muted yourself, you beautiful
How
bastard.
do you keep doing that?
Because someone, not mentioning any names, Star Wars only. Man, you hit that fucking vape so hard every time we're streaming. So I try to mute it now when I'm hitting the vape because he was concerned about how it sounds on a podcast. Because when you're listening to podcasts, you don't see us, and in the middle you hear. That's why I mute it.
Someone who's never watched the show but listening is like, so do they really have Darth Vader in the studio? I mean, goddamn, like they're doing great sound effects. But yeah, the Star Wars Twitter, whatever the fuck it's called, this week on Star Wars Twitter, we're gonna try to do a thing where like every week we just look at some tweets on Twitter that we want to react to, talk to. If you guys have anything you want us to look at, just fucking send it our way and just have fun reacting to this shit. So Lunga, do you have any of the tweets that we were talking about?
Yeah, just a strange a little dichotomy between the multiple sides of Twitter. Now this is from the official Star Wars. Thank you, best fans of the galaxy. Ahsoka draws 14 million views for the first episode. Just since he's not here, we have to shout out our other host, Pelpa Memes, who of course says Disney's probably lying. They're getting sued for this.
Well, and I will say, there's weird.
Did we lose him?
Different reactions to this news because first of all, this is the first time Star Wars show that they have put out like this right here, right? The actual numbers for an episode. And I think they did that in reaction to Variety and a bunch of other news articles talking about Ahsoka's viewership being below 1 million for the first 2-episode premiere.
Or did they do that just because of Nerdrotic?
No, not because of him, but because of Samba TV doing this. Yes,
I need to be educated here because I don't understand how there could be this much of a difference. Like I know there's different definitions that these streamers use of what's a view.
Well, hold on. Samba. Palpatine's mentioned this. Samba is actually very unreliable to begin with. Also, you got to pay attention to the words. Samba says 1.2 million households watched the premiere. Star Wars is talking about how many views the episode had. Views, we don't know how long they have to be watching it to be considered a view. On YouTube, if someone just clicks on your video for a minute, it's a view. Okay, so
what classifies as a household watching it? It's like, isn't it?
Well, again, if there's someone in a household who watched it 10 times, right? That only counts as one household. But as for views, they count towards the 10 times towards the views.
So you think they're arguing there's a lot of repeat viewing for Ahsoka?
Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah, and so Bespin Bulletin is kind of reporting a little bit against Disney in this situation, and Bespin's been very reliable on at least scoops, and this is a completely different realm. But I'll just read from him. He says, Disney and Lucasfilm shared that the first episode of Ahsoka globally garnered 14 million views. This does not represent unique viewers, which is how TV was traditionally reported. As an example of this, The Last of Us from HBO, a series that premiered earlier this year, HBO said that the series opener had 18 million viewers, which is unique viewers, within the first week of its release, but the series continued to grow on the average viewership, and individual episodes grew around to 30 million viewers by the time of the series finale. He's saying that Lucasfilm are sharing that Ahsoka garnered 14 million views for its premiere episode within its first week globally, but this does not represent 14 million unique viewers. The Hollywood Reporter shared that Disney have seemingly adopted the latest Netflix model in this recent report. And Netflix definition of a view is a total runtime spent watching a series or movie divided by its running time, as stated by the Hollywood Reporter. This method does not equate to actual views, and the watch time equation does not shed light on just how many unique viewers. So it seems like the problem with Samba TV is that they're saying that there was 1.2 million viewers and 950,000 for the second episode. So 1.2 for the first, 900,000 for the second. And Samba goes off of smart devices. So if you're watching it through a smart TV or anything like that, anything at your household, if you're
it's kind of like a modern day Nielsen rating, because in Nielsen you actually have a box. If you're a Nielsen family, you had to have a box installed in your house, and you were like a cross section of America. You know, you represented X amount of people. You know, so it's a similar version of that, but just a digital version. And again, it just because they think, oh, everyone watches shit on their phones, you know, or a smart TV, and that's where they go off of. But there's, you know, plenty of ways that people can use it. Like, I don't think it counts like the Firebox, which is like huge, or Apple,
but I think
which is huge.
Either way you count the views, it almost unanimously seems like this is the lowest viewed live action Star Wars show. The only one that's close to it, I think, was Andor. I think like they were on. I think they're like even Ahsoka and Andor. Ironically, both starting.
Andor
with
was
A's.
great.
Andor was great, but I think this is a bad sign because Andor, even though it had decent marketing and everything, no one knew who the fuck Cassian Andor was. There wasn't any interest in the show from casual audiences or even diehard Star Wars fans. And thank God the show was amazing. But Ahsoka, I feel like it should have done far better than Andor. It should far better than Book of Boba Fett. Even man, like this was supposed to be a really big and huge show, and I think these views are kind of a sign of what me and Lunga had said a couple weeks ago when we were coming back with the show of like the big fear with this is that mostly rebels and diehard Star Wars fans are going to be interested in the show. Casual audiences are not going to care. And if we're just going off of the numbers and taking them kind of at face value, like we believe that this is a lower viewed show than the other ones, I think that is a bad sign. It's not the end of the world. I mean, at all. I mean, the show could get more views as time goes on, but I mean, with the first one having 1.2 according to Samba, and the second one having 900,000, I mean, that's 300,000 people drop off. So I wonder how you guys feel about what this viewership means. If this is just something for Ahsoka specifically, is this a reflection of Star Wars as a whole? Like, what do you feel about this?
I think it's a large reflection of the Disney Plus streaming model. I just do not think that the style of shows that they produce, while we like them, I don't think they have the same draw that a standard TV show does. I think the idea of you having to watch other stuff to understand this really turns off a lot of people. And that's not just about Rebels and the Clone Wars. It's about like a big turnoff for The Mandalorian season 3. You needed to watch the Book of Boba Fett. I think it worked with like the MCU for the movies because someone could just watch a movie in one night and that's fine. People need to spend time to watch a show. And I don't think a lot of people want to make that commitment. So it's harder for a casual viewer to get invested, especially if they know Ahsoka was appearing in other stuff. And I think that's a big issue with the MCU is currently today, that they don't want to spend time watching all these Disney Plus shows. I think Disney Plus would have been far better off if they had one show and it was titled like Age of New Republic or something. And they said like season 1 was The Mandalorian. Season 2,
an anthology.
Season 2 was like Mandalorian 2. And then season 3 was The Book of Boba Fett. And then season 4 was The Mandalorian Returns. And then season 5 was Ahsoka. They had like one show that it was kind of organized better. So one person can just say, I'm going to watch this one show with 5 seasons. I think that would be much better for their streaming model. And then you can have side shows like Obi-Wan and Andor. But I think in a multiverse, like not multiverse, expanded universe like the Mandoverse is, I think all the different shows connecting makes the fans happy, but I don't think it makes casual viewers more likely to tune in midway through.
I don't think this is a Disney Plus issue. I mean, Disney Plus is losing subscribers. It's having an issue, no doubt. But this plan wasn't put in by Disney. This is all Lucasfilm. I mean, Mando season 1.
Well, hold on. Let's not pretend that Chapek's like hard on for more streaming shows. Don't act like it was just Lucasfilm. You love doing this, and I understand why you do it Star Wars only, but you want to put everything solely at Lucasfilm, and that Disney's just a parent company. They're hands off. Lucasfilm doesn't. No, come on. Chapek, the whole Disney Plus debacle was Chapek. Okay, there was a mandate to everybody, and Feige was even getting. That's why the MCU quality dropped off so much. And I honestly think that's why Feige said, "Fuck it, I don't care anymore." And that's why things are just so shitty. Okay, and this is not just Disney. Okay, you see all the Peacocks of the Paramount Pluses, all these things that are struggling and dying. They thought there's gonna be so much more demand. People are tired of paying because now to get all these streaming to watch what you want to watch, you're spending more on streaming channels than you were on cable. Which the whole point was to cut cable, right? Now you're spending more on cable, and each year they're raising the prices. So people are just getting tired of streaming services. They're checking out.
But I'm not gonna. Bob Chapek did not write Book of Boba Fett. Bob Chapek did not write Andor. He didn't have any creative involvement with a lot of this stuff. People were disappointed a little bit with Kenobi. People were definitely disappointed with Book of Boba Fett. But overall, the amount of Disney Plus subscribers that we have today is far higher than what we had in 2019 when Mandalorian came out and 2020 when the season 2 came out.
Yeah, and it's all the moms getting it for their kids to watch Disney movies.
Yeah, but I mean, look at what's happening with Star Wars. These views are not up to par with what we had with Mandalorian seasons 1 and 2. That's a bad sign. It was
Marvel. The MCU is just the exact same thing.
Loki had the biggest premiere, did it not?
Because Loki has Tom Hiddleston. And people have such a fucking crush on Tom Hiddleston. They watch it. I'm not. That's not even a joke. I'm serious. People watch it because they have a crush on Tom Hiddleston, and they love to watch it. That's why they watch it.
The reason Star Wars only. The reason.
Come on, Samuel Jackson, right? Loved Secret Invasion was fucking horrible. It was fucking horrible, and people and it was the lowest rated of any Marvel show ever. Okay, and it's fucking Samuel Jackson, dude.
Yeah.
So
and then with Mandalorian season 1 and 2, at that point it was just the Mandalorian. You didn't need to watch anything else. It was just the Mandalorian. And then once the Book of Boba Fett came out, and once that 5th episode came out that said, oh, this is not a Boba Fett show, this is a Boba Fett and Mando show, and that this is Mandalorian season 2.5, then it became a cinematic universe or a streaming universe that you need to watch multiple shows to get the bigger picture. And I've spoken to plenty of people at my office where I work, and a lot of them have expressed that issue. Like, oh, I said, are you gonna watch Ahsoka? It's like, no, because I get the vibe I need to watch everything else. Like, I need to watch all the Mandalorian shows and all that. And they just don't want to do it. They want to watch one show and sit down and do it. And just like
that was the problem with Ahsoka going into it. And I don't think I'm going to put this on anybody at Disney. I think Ahsoka inherently started with the notion of, look, if you are not a diehard fan who has watched Clone Wars, who has watched Rebels, who has watched Mando, who has watched Book of Boba Fett, then you're not going to know what the fuck is going on. And that's clearly the case right here. And I think that's a bad sign for at least the planning with Star Wars of trying to only appeal to diehard fans.
Here's the thing, because you're looking, okay, we're looking at it like we look at it as people who are critically looking at these shows. We saw that Mandalorian was so good and it was so well written and it was so and we appreciate that, right? Do you think the millions and millions of views that and the pop culture explosion that Mandalorian was because it was so well written? No.
Part of it.
It has to be a part of it.
No, that's for us. That's for people like us. The general audiences, don't make the face. Make the face. You're fucking wrong. The general audiences, they tuned in because you didn't have to know anything. They tuned in because there was a cute baby fucking Grogu. And they tuned in because, like Tom Hiddleston, there was a huge daddy crush going on with Pedro Pascal. That's why I'm telling you.
Okay,
that's why everyone tuned in.
Part of it, but if
that is a
you're
factor.
Saying that the Mandalorian, because
it's a huge factor. I would say
it was bad. That it still would have done as well. No way.
No. The fact that the reason the Mandalorian season 1 was so big is because it reminded us of the OG Star Wars trilogy. It was like a Saturday morning matinee cartoon, and yes, there was the crush and all that. I don't want to hear it. And Grogu was a big
Andor is even better written. It doesn't get us Mandalorian numbers
because it doesn't have word of mouth. It doesn't have word of mouth. Point.
No, it had where it was out there. People knew. They were marking that shit like fucking
the Star Wars fandom knew. But with the Mandalorian, it was hey, look at this new show. It's fun. It's adventurous. I have spoken.
There's no cute little baby. There's no cute little baby Grogu.
The baby was a huge
I don't know who the fuck
is
Andor. It was from some Star Wars movie I didn't watch. That's why they didn't check in.
Deal if the writing was not good. If the writing or the directing of Mandalorian was not good, the baby would not have been a factor.
Yeah, it would have. Andor proves it.
No.
And stop with the old word of mouth. Stop it. Because guess what? When something is well written, word of mouth gets it out there. Okay, here I'll give you a fucking even though Dave and Benny, Weiss and Benny, fucked it up. Okay, Game of Thrones. You think when Game of Thrones exploded, you think it's because there were all these millions of George R. R. Martin fans that were just waiting, chopping at the bit for the show?
All word of mouth. All word of mouth.
Okay, but nobody gave a shit about it. Nobody knew what the fuck Game of Thrones was. Most of the fans, the general audiences, were people completely new to fantasy, let alone fucking Game of Thrones. Okay?
You know how long it took for Game of Thrones to get big? We've had one season of Andor.
How long?
Yeah.
The beginning of season 2. What the first season after the first season ended, it was people went nuts, and then season 2 was when it exploded.
It was not the mega show when it came out.
Yes, it was
the second season.
Yes, it was.
Seasons 5 and 6 is when you notice it really not only just hit the mainstream, but people were getting like reaction parties at bars and stuff like that. That's when I think it really popped off. But it was growing every season by season because the show was good. But that, to me, that is proof of the word of mouth stuff. And I think that's what affected Mando seasons 1 and 2, is that us diehard Star Wars fans and casual people who like Star Wars all watched this, and everyone and their mother said, no, this show's fucking good. You got to watch it, and I don't care what's going to happen. I got to see what happens next week. We don't have that with Star Wars at the moment. I don't think, truth be told, I don't even know if there's a single Disney Plus show or even streaming show that has that situation right now, where everyone is going, you got to see what happens next week. And I think that's the problem. That's why I don't think it's a Disney Plus thing. I don't think it's a Bob Chapek thing. I think it is a writing and directing thing. And maybe you could say the overall planning of it, but I think Ahsoka is such a unique situation because you do need to have a lot of homework for this show, that alone is going to turn off so many potential viewers that it's never going to reach its heights. And that's disappointing.
And/or destroys your whole argument. It destroys your whole argument. Yes, it does.
Because it's better quality and has the same views.
Was so fucking good in that show. It was so fucking good in that show. It was above Mando, in my opinion. That's how good the writing was in the show. And the acting in that show was spectacular. Okay? So if we're going by good writing, good directing, good acting brings in the fans, that should have did it, and it didn't.
Well, that didn't have the...
Also, sorry. There's a difference between the audience of The Mandalorian and the audience of Andor. Andor is a more mature audience. It doesn't have the rated R audience of, say, Game of Thrones, but it's more mature. When something like Mandalorian comes out, yes, the Grogu and Pedro Pascal were a big part of it. But if it just had those two and the writing sucked, it would have not been successful by any means. It would have been popular for maybe a season.
Okay, let's slow down here, because we're going from spectacular to sucked. Like, there can't be anything in the middle. Okay, if Mandalorian writing was mid, okay, we'd be like, this show is really not that great. It's okay, but general audiences with fucking Pedro Pascal and Grogu would have loved it still if the writing was mid. No. Yes, they would have. No. Yes.
They don't just like a baby because
people
the baby looks
still
cute.
checked in for the horrendous writing of the last seasons of Game of Thrones. Are you kidding me? The writing was so bad. After
6 seasons of great storytelling, or 4 seasons,
and people still stuck through it seeing how horrible it was.
Yes, because they set so many things up that they wanted to know the ending. With The Mandalorian, there's no big overarching story anymore. It's like they told the story of the 3 seasons, and there's no remaining plot threads. There's very few, at least. And it took Game of Thrones so many, and you disagree with this, so many more seasons to become this mega must-see TV.
No.
And the people don't just watch TV because there's a cute baby. It's because of the relationship that Grogu has with Mando, which is the writing of The Mandalorian. That's what made it so good.
The moment people saw Jon Snow in season 1, season 2, everybody was looking.
No,
not everybody.
No.
Not everybody. I vividly remember when like the final season of Game of Thrones was coming out and everyone and their mother was talking about it. But it wasn't until like a year or two before that where I knew that this show was huge, because everyone had YouTube, like the Red Wedding. Whatever season that was, the Red Wedding is when I noticed it really.
That was at its height. That was at its height. Okay.
No, not the height. Not the height.
Blew up. Okay. It still blew up in the second season. You had a lot of casual audiences tuning in for something that they would not normally have watched.
No, you're right. It was HBO really going to the max with this stuff, and HBO is well known for that. They started it with The Sopranos, so I do believe that it was peaking at a certain point. But with me and Goldman's argument is clearly a factor of word of mouth and quality writing. And that is what helped expand that show into so many ways. And I feel like with these Star Wars shows like Book of Boba Fett and the Kenobi series, and maybe now Ahsoka, depending on where you fall on it, there's not going to be a lot of word of mouth.
Can you show my screen, if that's possible? Like, this is the Game of Thrones viewership by season. Like, it did not become the mega thing until maybe like season 6, 7, and 8. Season 2, it's not a big jump.
Look at the jump. The jump from 10, from the black to the dark red. That is a jump.
That's a jump. Yes,
that is a big jump.
It's a big jump. You're right.
Mind you, this thing is millions of viewers. From episode 10 to 11, it jumped about almost that, according to that chart, about 1 million viewers.
And look at the jumps from like season
3 to 4. No, 3 to 4.
yeah,
that's the biggest
again,
one. God damn.
We're not saying it didn't
Right.
become more popular after season 2. We're saying it didn't become this mega show everyone must watch in season 2.
I said starting with season 2 is when it blew up. That's when it started getting people's attention.
I
I didn't say that's when it was the height of its popularity.
I think we have different definitions of blowing up.
No, blowing up is when something gets noticed. That's what blowing up means.
I think of blowing
When
up
it starts
as when
becoming, when people are talking about it at the office, when people were talking about it at the end of season 1, beginning of season 2, because I know this, because guess what? I never get to talk to anyone about Star Wars ever, except you fucks. Okay, no one I know when I was working this, no one wanted to ever talk about fucking Star Wars. Okay, Game of Thrones, bet you everyone I talked to was, and this was going back to end of season 1, beginning of season 2.
I just don't buy it. I'm sorry.
Well, also, Lunga, you have to factor in the fact that around the time that these were coming out, me and Goldman were significantly younger than we are now. So we didn't have an office to talk to people about Game of Thrones with.
Well, there you go. Your fetus
In
is
high
the
school.
problem.
No one was watching Game of Thrones in high school. I was watching
Nerds.
But
No, I didn't know nerds in my high school. I was only a nerd.
Exalt sent something to share for Twitter. Yeah.
How did we end up talking about all the viewership and shit? I know we were talking about Disney Plus one. We don't think it's
talking
Disney.
about
that tweet. The 14.
we're talking about Ahsoka's
Sombra.
viewership, and then Lunga was saying that the viewership is because of Disney, and that this is kind of hard to trace back, because I was saying that Ahsoka is not doing great because of no word of mouth or anything, and he said that the argument doesn't hold up because Andor was great but has similar viewership. But I think Andor had low viewership because of the marketing and no one really knowing about it. And like Goldman said, that's like a diehard fan show, and Ahsoka is the same thing. And I think if Lucasfilm or Disney keeps following that trajectory where we're only appealing to the diehards, ain't nobody gonna watch this.
That is not what I said. I think I usually use this analogy with box office, but I think it's a good with the viewership. The viewership or box office of something is largely indicative of what came before. The reason Game of Thrones season 8 had so many viewers was not because it was good, but because the previous seasons were so good. Andor, it's the first season. I think the second season viewership will be much higher for Andor season 2 because of the writing of the first season. And if I'm not, pull up this clip and say I was wrong.
I mean, there'll be. I think I don't think it'll get bigger. I think it'll stay steady, maybe slightly raise. Not like that thing between season 1 and season 2 of Game of Thrones.
I think it'll be a notable increase in viewership, not a blow up. I don't think it'll reach Mandalorian levels. But I think if Andor was,
I think at best it'll be a 25%.
Maybe. Yeah, I think like, the first season having like 1 million viewers in the first couple episodes, I think we could do 1.5 for season 2 of Andor. But 2 million, get the fuck out of here. I mean, that's going to be a hard number to reach for that series, despite it being great.
Yeah. And also, I mean, the style of the show too. There's only going to be 2 seasons. We know how the story ends. A lot of people want to tune in to see how mysteries and plot threads left unresolved. Andor's really good writing, but doesn't have like mysteries that people want to tune in to, dying to see what happens next.
Someone was mentioning in the chat, and they got a point. Now, I wouldn't say, you're saying that it wasn't marketed. It was marketed. But I will say this. Unless you watched, not Star Wars, unless you watched Rogue One, that specific movie, you have no idea who the fuck Andor is. And they titled the show Andor.
Even if you watched Rogue One, you still don't know who the fuck Andor is.
Exactly. And not even that. It's like people don't remember the names of the characters from Rogue One. So that if they saw a picture of Andor, they might recognize him. But when they see the title Andor, they're not going to...
Tell me people don't remember Jyn Erso?
No, they don't.
They don't remember Saw Gerrera?
Jyn Erso is like the biggest forgotten protagonist of any Star Wars like movie or show. No one talks about Jyn Erso. I don't know if she
died
because she was alive for one movie.
Yeah, but the movie also, like, the characters weren't that good in the movie either. Like I remember getting shat on back in 2016. I can't believe I've done YouTube this long at this point, but I remember watching Rogue One the second time and leaving the theater and saying on my channel, "Yo, I hate to be the bad guy here, but I don't remember the guy's name. I don't remember his name at all. I was talking about casting Andor, and people were like, "How could you not remember?" And now that all these years have gone by, no one remembers who Cassian Andor is, unless you're a Star Wars fan who's watched Andor at this point. Like
They should have called it Rise of the Rebellion. That would have
that's what
made
someone
much
else said.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
someone
think-
sent a super chat with that.
I think
Like,
naming.
Oh, that super chat.
I think
Then
this-
then it must have been Freudian. I must have saw it and clicked
Yeah, I
on
think
it.
that was- not even Andor. I think naming these Marvel and Star Wars shows after people, I think is a bad idea. Because if you don't know who that person is, then you're more likely not to tune in. But if it's something more general, like Agents of
Superheroes
S.H.I.E.L.D.
are
with
different.
Marvel,
So, are you
Superheroes
saying
Superheroes are different.
Are you saying
Fair
we
enough.
should blame Ron Howard for all this because he called Solo a Star Wars story? Solo.
I think
a
movies
Star
are
Wars
different than
story?
shows. Movies you can just sit down and watch once. But even then, and also everyone knows who Han Solo is. Not everyone knows who Ahsoka is. Not everyone knows
Yeah,
who
but
Andor
I'm
is.
saying that started the trend. And first of all, Solo, a Star Wars story, is a horrible name. I mean, everyone.
But
from
like
the
I
start,
said, people
it's
don't
not
like
that.
unless you're a huge Star Wars nerd. People don't know Ahsoka. They don't know Andor.
Yes.
But
Yeah,
like
yeah.
when you like thing you said about Marvel, it's different. I mean, you're talking about characters, Iron Man,
Fine, that's-
Hulk, Thor. These are characters
that's
been
fair.
around
That's
for
fair.
so long, and people remember his childhood cartoons and everything. So that's those names
I
are more
think-
recognizable.
I think if Marvel did another show that was, I don't say like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but just like Agents of something or like the Avengers show.
Oh, you mean
I think it would do better.
Rangers of the New Republic?
Honestly, yes. I think a show with that name would do better than a show called Ahsoka.
I think
I
it would
think
do
if-
great because Gina Carano would be the lead actress, and all the Republicans
And
would
it's-
come
it's
out of the
also-
woods.
Hey,
It's
boy,
kinda funny,
she sure
Rangers-
disappeared, didn't she?
Yeah,
Anyway,
she's
we're getting
featuring
off
a new
topic.
song, Richmond and
We
Richmond.
don't need to
Continue,
talk about
Goldman.
Gina Carano. So, like again, a lot of people don't know who Ahsoka is. I bet you if this Ahsoka show was exactly the same, but it was just titled like something of the New Republic, Rangers, or whatever, I think people would be more interested.
You
I think
know,
the simple
will
title
say that.
change
I think
makes a
it's good
difference.
point. Because Star Wars used to have, or I'm not gonna say used to have, Star Wars sometimes has these names that you're like, oh shit, I gotta watch that. Empire Strikes Back. Like, oh fuck, like something's gonna happen, you know. But when you do Book of Boba Fett, it's just like, oh,
It's a weird one. Oh,
yeah, that's an odd one.
It's like
Speaking of
Bo-
weird,
Boba Fett's a little different because again, people know Boba Fett, but people don't really know Ahsoka. And it's also that we didn't really touch into this, but Ahsoka hasn't really had the most development in her own show so far, and it's an ongoing theme. I feel like they've developed Sabine way more than her. There's been a lot more interesting scenes with Hera than Ahsoka, and that doesn't bother me too much.
To Dave Filoni, brother.
Yeah, but anyway, it's a little bit of a different topic. I think if they had this, the Mandoverse was like not a different name, but there was just a show called like the Mandoverse, and they just had different seasons that were like different parts. I think people would be more interested in that than just the Mandalorian 1, Mandalorian 2, Book of Boba Fett,
Muted
Mandalorian
logo.
3, Ahsoka. What's next? What's that show with the kids? Skeleton Crew. He's still muted.
I love him.
You know what I love about the title I would like? I've always loved this word is the Mandalorian Chronicles.
Oh, that would
Always
be a
like the
good
word
one.
Chronicles.
Yeah. I don't know. Star Wars does need better names. Like Skeleton Crew, even that is kind of better than like Andor. But that is a problem because, like Goldman was saying, like, you know, if you don't know these characters, no one knew who fucking Cassian Andor was. So calling the show Andor, like, are you? It gets to a point sometimes.
I
like,
got
are
a
you
name for
trying?
Ahsoka. The Lost Admiral.
No.
No, that's
Yes.
not good. Maybe like the Lost
That's-
Jedi.
that's
or
named after
something like
it's
that,
named
or-
after-
Think about that. Think
Jim
about it in a
Thrawn.
crawl. The Lost Admiral.
No, I mean, yeah, there you go. But maybe I don't fucking know.
Honestly, I think like the former Jedi or the Forgotten Jedi or something, like some play on Ahsoka not being a Jedi, I think would have been better than naming the show Ahsoka.
Oh, the Acolyte. That is a good name too, actually. I mean, that,
I think the Acolyte will be a
Yeah.
really interesting test for Star Wars. 'Cause it's not
you're
the
right,
Mandalorian.
because there's so many things that are going on with that one. You have a new showrunner, writer, director. You have vastly different characters. Like these are all characters we probably will have never seen before, except a couple maybe in like the books or comics.
Most
But
of
in the name and everything, like I think that will be a test. If that show does good, That to me, that's
you have a
that's more
huge
like
segment of the Star Wars fandom already checking out just because Leslie Headland.
Okay, Lunga,
Leslie,
these motherfuckers have checked out of anything and everything.
Yeah, I
I've
know.
ever
People
done.
that hated Barbie, and look how well Barbie's doing. All right.
Yeah, I mean,
I know.
You
I'm
had
not
people
saying
saying
they're
Barbie
right.
was gonna
I'm
No,
just
it's like
saying.
whenever the projects they hate suck, they say go woke, go broke. But then whenever it does well, they just completely ignore it.
Yeah, well, it actually wasn't woke. Woke doesn't really mean women. Woke means this, that, and the other. And it's funny too because they are
not if you ask them though.
Oh yeah, well, and I'm sure they hate the Ahsoka show because it's mostly women, honestly. But I will say, to a credit to this show, it's not like the Marvel Endgame where all the women show up and they're like, "Let's go get them, girls," and all that shit. It's cringe. Like for some reason, you don't think about that. I don't know how
gender
it sounds.
is not addressed. It's not something that's brought up.
Thank you. It's not addressed at all. It's not. No
But
one's
like,
like
what. I get really frustrated when people talk about the sequels being like that because I disagree with that too. But it's like, yeah, there's no comment about gender. It's just like
that's true. That's true.
Or how about this? Because they tunnel vision, right? They don't even think. Okay, let's see. Well, this is fundamentally revolving around the crew from Rebels, right? Well, I don't know. Let's see. Kanan's dead. Ezra's missing. The antagonist Thrawn is missing. Well, who's fucking left? The only one we have is Zed, which we saw in Mandalorian, right? We saw him. He's doing his own thing right now. But you have Sabine and Hera, which are the two remaining crew. Chopper. You have them left, right? They're looking for Ezra, which is the guy. Okay, and the bad guys and them are also looking for Thrawn, which is another guy.
So what you're saying with your liberal fantasy is that the boy's a damsel in distress, and he
not
needs
really,
to be
because I'll tell you
rescued by
this: it doesn't even pass the Bechdel test because all they keep talking about is we got to find Ezra, we got to find Ezra, we got to find Ezra.
It doesn't pass the Bechdel test. That's fucked. Oh shit! I'm gonna write Dave Filoni right now. You're a horrible writer. You can't even pass the goddamn Bechdel test. You fucking idiot. Oh my god. They have to have no. When Sabine and Ahsoka talk, they talk only about like Jedi stuff, so that does
they
pass
train.
the Bechdel test. Yeah, so we're good. We're good. Dave Filoni is
right.
Fact,
how many times
sexist.
did they mention the name Ezra? Shut up, because they mentioned it a lot. You literally have to be
once every 5
caressing
minutes.
His face on the painting. I mean, come on.
Well, Lungo, what you don't understand about that scene is it's so beautiful because of the symbolism of the exact same scene from the ending of Rebels season 4. I mean, that's just
which you can't count that as a member berry. It is a literal recreation of that moment in live action.
All right,
I didn't say member. It's just beautiful symbolism.
So yeah, do you guys notice what the names are of the two more popular Star Wars shows, animated ones? Sorry, the Clone Wars, Rebels, basic titles, not Star Wars Ahsoka Padawan, not Star Wars Kanan and Ezra. They're named after their titles.
First of all, they're animated. First of all, they're animated.
They have a strong
and they came out for prequel era kids when they were younger to watch. Okay, so let's put that in perspective. Kids nowadays, most kids, when you got the age when you guys were when you were watching it, aren't watching this shit. They're not.
Star Wars is not popular with kids right now.
With kids, it's not like it was before. It's just the old fucks. It's the prequel kids that are around your ages, okay, in 20s to 30s, and the old fucks like me. That's who's watching Star Wars.
And it just kind of makes you wonder what went wrong. We kept losing people, and now there's only so few left. I wonder if it was Rian Johnson in The Last Jedi.
Listen, I don't agree with the crazy fandom menace types. I don't agree with how much vitriolic they are about this shit. But Disney seem to go out of their way to like antagonize it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And now again, that doesn't mean they have to react that way. They don't have to react like petulant children. React like the adults you are. Okay, you know, and like this whole personal thing. They're attacking the fans. Bitch, shut up.
Yeah.
Okay. You're not that important. Okay. You know, we pay you our money. Okay. They're obviously still surviving without you. Okay. So let's not go.
But what they do represent, like it's the weird dichotomy with the fandom menace of like you guys have taken it to a very toxic point, but they truly do represent the feeling of a lot of Star Wars fans of feeling like the franchise kind of turned against them in a way, or just started doing things that they didn't like at all. And so it's like they speak for a large group of people, but the people who do speak are just incredibly toxic. And they have taken it to levels where it's like a war, where it's like, okay, now I can't, it's not even worth giving you attention or trying to take you seriously because you're not even taking yourself seriously. But
because
they
they're
did
acting
have
like
a point.
petulant children.
Exactly.
And
but they had a point at a time. They did have a point, but they've completely lost the plot.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, I mean, I was in that group. Like when that Jedi came out and I first started seeing the first fandom minutes people talk, I agreed with them. I did. I agreed with them with the way they treated Luke and the way I'm like, this is fucking garbage. Now I didn't get on that whole social woke bandwagon shit. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, that was a contributing factor to why they did what they did, but you can still have the diversity without sacrificing writing. Okay, you could do that without sacrificing writing, and that's the issue they made with this. But so that was the problem I had. But again, I get their point. But yeah, it's so vitriolic and this and that. And where did we leave off with Ahsoka? Because it just ended. They were hiding, and Balin's looking for them, right? Yeah, that's where this episode ended.
Then we were talking about the names and shit. I like this comment. It's like calling House of the Dragon the Rhaenyra show. It's very, very good.
Well, they are talking about if they do that, Jon Snow is supposed to be called Snow. That's literally what it's supposed to be called.
There are a few exceptions, like Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Everyone knows Jon Snow.
I think that worked.
Yeah, people knew. Yeah.
Kenobi,
people knew who Han Solo was.
Because that's an iconic name, you know. Yeah.
But it's still a bad name though. Solo: A Star Wars Story. When that came out, everyone.
I do not think the title had anything to do with the reason why that movie bombed.
No,
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying it's a bad movie. Yeah. You see, I mean, if we're going off like what you said earlier, like it's an indication of what came before. The Last Jedi.
We're talking about the effect that the name title has, not how Solo didn't make money.
If the Last Jedi didn't,
Solo didn't drag people in. No one went and Solo: A Star Wars Story. I gotta see that.
Like, I'm not even saying if Last Jedi would have been loved. Like, if it just wasn't so polarizing, if it was just like The Force Awakens, okay, if it was like that, like, okay, it wasn't great, but hey, you know, we're here.
Is simping again.
Solo.
I thought the same fucking thing. I thought the same thing when
Hold on. I fuck with Palpatine all the time. He's not wrong.
She's not hot.
Yes, she is.
Remotely hot.
Yes, she is.
People just like a woman on the dark side. Like every time they could look like
it's not
we all like a little emo girl.
It's her eyes.
They all live.
It's her eyes. It's her eyes.
I see Palpatine. He's always like replying to girls on Twitter, like, "Oh my god, thanks," and sending us DMs of girls he talks to. It's
he's also a fetus. I mean, come on.
I love when he takes just like pictures.
He just became able to drink, guy.
Have a good day. It's like him just getting on a bridge.
We've seen what he looks like. He does not need to be drinking. He still looks like he's 17. He might get carded until the age of 35.
The Palpatine's roast fest. He's not even here to defend.
Yeah. And once he comes back,
you're going to be banned from chatting if you can't come in here and talk. That's all I'm going to say.
Part of the job. We don't even pay you. What do we pay you for? Oh my god!
I just love Palpatine. Like on his Twitter, like he has a picture of him at the gym, like a gym selfie. It's like hot chest day, let's go. It's like
yeah.
And he says he doesn't post selfies.
Well, you guys got any parting words for the stream before we call it a night?
I mean, again, as far as the show goes, I mean, I am looking forward to the next episode. I hope it's not as short as this one was. Again, I'm not saying hour-long episodes. We know we're not getting that shit, right? But this was really short. This is like a vignette almost. It was so short, you know.
It was too short.
Just an extra 5 to 8 minutes, you know, would at least help. I'm looking forward to the next episode. I'm curious to see where it goes, but I'm worried. It's gonna do the same thing the Marvel shows do. I mean, at least it has 8 episodes, which is better than a lot of Marvels. Which only had like the 6 and shit like that. Okay, for a lot of them, but it's like. This whole thing is about finding Ezra and Thrawn. And we kind of talked about this, you know, during the first 1 and 2. It's like we're not going to see Ezra and Thrawn until maybe the last episode, you know. Now, if that's leading into a season 2 and there's going to be way more, I guess that's okay. But if every episode is this whole thing with Ahsoka and Sabine, I'm going to get annoyed by the time we get to episode 5, 6. You know, with the whole training her as a Jedi thing. It's going to get really...
Well, I hope you like Anakin longer because he's apparently in like the last 3 episodes, so...
I'll see.
And the next
Let's see how
episode's
that
40
goes.
minutes.
I am so far really enjoying the show because unlike Mandalorian season 3 and Book of Boba Fett, the show actually has momentum to it. I'm interested to see what's happening next. Mandalorian season 3 was so bad with that. Like halfway through the season, you had no clue what the season was about. This there's a direction that the story is going to, and we want to find out what happens. So that's intriguing me. I don't think the Star Wars shows have the same issue as the Marvel shows. Like a lot of the Marvel shows, they start off really interesting and then have shitty endings. None of these Star Wars seasons have had inconsistency within the season. Like it's usually the season's good or the season's mid or the season's bad. I haven't really thought of anything that's like, oh, the season started off great and then ended shit. People may say that about the Boba Fett show. I thought the season
That
was
was
shit
a
as
hot
whole.
mess of shit since episode 1.
Exactly.
So that was
Some,
just...
but there's some people who were like, oh, the show was so great when it started. It was better when it started, but it was shit throughout. So yeah,
You know when it was better? It was better when I was watching the trailers and the anticipation. Once I got halfway through episode 1, I'm like, oh god.
No, the best part was the ending credits, so I could hear the fucking music and know the show was
I don't
over.
know, dude. The post credit scene of Boba Fett with Cobb Vanth in the Bacta tank. When's that tease gonna pay off?
What the fuck are you talking? Was that a thing? Did that happen?
There's a post credit scene in Book of Boba Fett.
Get the fuck! I've never seen that. What the fuck?
Yeah, you know how Cobb Vanth got shot at the end of episode 6 by Cad
Yeah, I
Bane?
thought he just died.
No, there's a post credit scene of him in a Bacta tank.
I gotta stop smoking weed. Look, sir, you can't just join in at the end of the show.
We have a lot of discussing to do, guys.
What is this? First, hold on. First of all,
brutality.
hold on.
The
First of all,
abuse.
you dirty fucking bitch. You're not gonna come in here at the end of the show and have your camera off.
Okay, I just got home from like an 11-hour shift. I just ate dinner. I'm ready to go to bed. Leave me alone. I'm going through it.
You joined our stream. What do you mean leave you alone?
You sent me the link.
He said uns the link. You just happened to be in that group chat.
I'm here to defend myself.
Tell us all about it, Pelhams. Tell us all about it.
I don't know. I was just coming
This
to say hi.
big ass P on the screen. Tell us.
Yeah, apparently I can't choose a profile picture.
You can.
Not here.
You'll figure it out. It's a new platform we're using, everybody. I apologize.
I will be back in full next week, everyone.
Let's
For the
go.
rest of my glorious takes. I will be here to defend
Oh
myself
god,
in
he's
full.
gonna trigger me. Can't wait.
Thank you, Palamedes.
All right. Good night, gentlemen. Good night, chat.
Good night. Have a good one.
I'll say for myself with the show so far with Ahsoka, I want to say I feel indifferent. I'm not disappointed because it's not disappointing to me. You guys know how I feel. I don't love it, or I'm not going to say like it. I'm just kind of on the fence. There's a lot of cool moments that I really like. Like each episode has had these moments that really feel quintessential Star Wars. And then there's a lot of moments where I'm like, okay, I don't really feel like the characters are that engaging. The acting and writing, not all that good. But the plot has kept me engaged. And I am interested in how this is going to pay off and where this is going to go overall. If it's true that Anakin's in this nonstop and it becomes very fan servicey, I'm really going to have a mental checkout and I'm going to lose a lot of fucking respect for Dave Filoni.
Can I have a question? All right, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Is it possible for Anakin to show up and you not be annoyed?
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, well, it's already kind of a no from the get-go, though, because they say that it's supposed to be like a world between worlds is how he shows up, and that just annoys me so much. If it's a Force ghost or something, and it actually has like some reason to it, or it feels right, that would feel good. But then it kind of goes back into the whole issue with Star Wars of like what happens before and pays off now and all that stuff, because we didn't see Anakin's ghost in Rise of Skywalker or any of the sequels at all, when I feel like he should talk to his grandkid, but he won't talk to his grandkid, but he will talk to Ahsoka. Stuff like that would be like, okay. But I mean, other than that, if it's done well, I can't hate on it.
The theory going around is that's what Balin is looking for, is the world between worlds.
Oh, he has to. I mean,
That's what the fan theories is going on about right now.
And it would just be cool to know what they know about it too. I mean, that's one thing I've kind of wanted to know about, like the Jedi and the Sith, is like, what do they think about the world between worlds? What do they know about the ones, the mom, the dad, the son, and the daughter, and all that shit? Like, some of that stuff is interesting.
Father,
but
son, and daughter.
Well, we knew Palpatine was intimately
There's
familiar with
Abeloth,
having
you know,
it
the
built
whole-
on his ship.
Oh, well, Palpatine knew a lot, and Rebels expanded on that a little bit too. But I mean, I didn't get to see what he really knew or thought about. I don't know. There's just some mythicism stuff that would be cool to explore, and Dave Filoni is going to do that. So that's why this show has kept me intrigued.
I thought you hated that. I thought you were like, oh, Filoni wanted to do his edgy shit in Rebels with the world between worlds.
Yeah, no, I disliked why, like, the characters that were involved in it, because it makes it seem like any fucking random jackass off the street can just travel through the world between worlds. But that's kind of Dave Filoni's
Oh, you
point.
like any jackass off the street can become a Jedi?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, if they train hard enough longer and they have the right bloodline, like Palpatine or Skywalker.
Listen, most people can
Or
play
Syndulla.
basketball. Not all of them make it to the NBA. I mean, I can't. I have analogies up the ass for this. I can just do so many of them.
But are they all Michael Jordan?
Exactly.
Michael Jordan goes between the world between worlds, not fucking Steph Curry. All right. Difference. All right. That's all we got for today's show. I'm going to be real honest with y'all. We still don't have the outro on this motherfucker for some reason. I don't know what happened to it. It's just not in our little thing. So we'll play the thing that we did at the beginning and call it a night. Thank you all for watching. We'll see you next Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, same place, same assholes. Thank you guys for watching, and may the force be with you.